They called him Prophet Lazarus, a man wrapped in white robes and miracles. But beneath the prayers and prophecies was a secret that slithered from the river's depths, hungry, ancient, and waiting. Amara thought she was marrying a holy man. She had no idea she was walking into a covenant sealed in water, blood, and betrayal. In the heart of southeastern Nigeria, nestled among whispering forests and rivers that remember names long forgotten, was a village called Ala. The people there lived in a rhythm of ancient rituals, salt-of-the-earth wisdom, and fearsome reverence for the spiritual world. It was the kind of place where ancestors still walked the land, and dreams carried messages no one dared ignore. Amara, the village beauty, had just returned from the city. With skin that glowed like oiled mahogany and eyes that held the depth of ancestral oceans, she was the kind of woman men wrote songs about. Her return was not just a homecoming, it was a reckoning. She had grown tired of city life, its noise, its loneliness. She longed for rootedness, for something real. Then came Prophet Lazarus. He arrived in Ala like a sudden wind, mysterious, commanding, and uninvited. He wore long white robes that never seemed to stain, and wherever he walked, people whispered of miracles, barren women conceiving, blind men seeing, curses breaking like clay pots against rock. His voice was thunder and honey. His eyes glowed with something not quite human. He was a spiritual man, he said, a prophet of the Most High. Amara, raised on tales of saints and seers, felt drawn to him like a moth to the moon. Lazarus was older, but his presence filled every empty corner of her longing. He spoke of purpose, visions, and divine unions. He claimed that the spirit had shown him Amara in a dream, a chosen wife for a chosen man. Despite warnings from her grandmother, an old priestess who spoke more to spirits than to men, Amara gave herself to him. "He is not who he says he is," the old woman warned, her clouded eyes staring into things Amara could not see. "There is river mud in his footprints." But love, like magic, often blinds the eyes of the heart. The wedding was loud, lavish, and strange. Lazarus insisted on performing the rituals himself. No village elders, no family libations. He poured wine to the east and sang in a language no one recognized. Amara, dressed in white, followed his steps like a lamb led by prophecy. For a time she was happy, until the dreams began. In sleep, Amara found herself underwater, struggling to breathe. She would wake up gasping, hands clutching her swollen belly. For yes, she was pregnant, but with each passing day, her joy became shadowed by fear. Strange things began to happen. Frogs croaked inside the walls. Mirrors cracked on their own. Lazarus began to disappear at night, only to return soaked, smelling of moss and river rot. And when she asked, he would simply say, "I go where the spirit sends me." One night, as the moon bled red across the sky, her grandmother appeared at her door, shaking with rage and dread. "Tonight we speak truth," she said. "Your husband is not a prophet. He is an emissary of the Ogbwide, the river beast, who lives beneath the falls." Amara, trembling, refused to believe, but her grandmother pulled her close and whispered a story so ancient it tasted like dust. Long ago, there was a river spirit beautiful, terrifying, and hungry for power. It offered gifts to men, visions, fame, miracles. But all came at a price. In every generation, it would demand a bride, a woman of purity, and the child she bore would belong to the river. Lazarus, her grandmother said, was that man, a vessel, a charlatan cloaked in righteousness, feeding off the innocence of the village to keep his pact alive. That night, Amara followed Lazarus. Through bush, thorns, and whispering shadows, she trailed him to the edge of the river, where he began to chant in the same strange tongue. As he undressed and stepped into the water, his body shimmered, then shifted. His skin thickened into scales. His spine curved into something ancient. His eyes, those glowing eyes, turned cold, amphibian, inhuman. Amara collapsed to the ground, the truth cutting through her like a blade. The man she loved was not a man at all. He was the river's beast, and her unborn child was its offering. She ran, back through the forest, into her grandmother's arms. There, with trembling hands, the old woman began the counterworker ritual to break the river's claim. They gathered kola nuts, goat's blood, 7 white feathers, and a mirror buried at midnight. But Lazarus knew. He came for her, not with fire, but with rain. Torrents fell, thunder cracked. The river rose and walked through the village in search of his bride. At the shrine's gate, the battle of spirits began. Lazarus stood tall, his form half human, half serpent. He called on the waters. He demanded Amara be returned. He spoke of contracts, bloodlines, and sacred debts. But the old woman stood firm, drawing a line in the sand with red chalk and iron powder. "You may wear the skin of men, but you are not of this world," she said, "and this child shall not be yours." The sky howled, and then came the voice, deep, feminine, ageless. It was not Lazarus who spoke. It was the river herself. "Let the girl choose," the river roared. "My servant has given her power, love, protection. Let her choose between the fire of truth or the water of illusion." Amara stepped forward, her belly heavy, her soul cracked open. "I choose neither," she said. "I choose the light, the ancestors. I choose freedom." Then something unexpected happened. The mirror her grandmother had buried began to hum. Light burst forth, and in it Amara saw the truth, not just of Lazarus, but of herself. She came from a long line of river priestesses, born to command the waters, not submit to them. With one word, Teta, awaken, Amara released the binding spell. Lazarus screamed as his form twisted and cracked, the river no longer embracing him, but rejecting him. He was swallowed whole by the waters that once obeyed him, and the river, now calm, withdrew into herself. The sky cleared, the earth sighed. Amara fell to her knees, exhausted but free. 9 months later, she gave birth to a son. The boy had strange marks on his back, ancient runes no one could read. But his eyes were bright, and his laugh when it came was like the river in spring, clear, wild, and full of life. She named him Chimereze, God has chosen the king. He would grow to be a great spiritual leader, one who knew the balance between light and dark, the price of power, and the cost of truth. And as for Amara, she became a healer, a storyteller, and the guardian of Allah's hidden knowledge. Children would gather around her hut, and she would tell them stories, not fairy tales, but warnings. "When a man speaks in tongues only spirits understand," she would say, "watch where his shadow falls. Power, my children, always comes with a price."